The why is that not everyone is going to go into a professional career. It'll change. They'll change their minds, and they'll end up doing something else. Some of them aren't even exposed or have the thought to think that what we're doing is even challenging them critically, because they think, oh, well, I'm supposed to do this because somebody in my family suggested it or said. But to turn around and think that, well, maybe that's your talent. As I mentioned, writing, that's your talent, but how about doing this? How about thinking about a poem that somebody, or just when you see kids just making a drum beat on their desk or a table, there's something that they're thinking about that may turn into something. But the why is that next generation to help conserve and preserve the music industry. It has to be.
Orson, what's up, man?
Eric Howerton.
So great to have you here.
I'm delighted. I mean, when you called me, I said, "Oh man, what's he up to now?" And you guys got some great stuff going on.
Hey, just loving microphones, man. That's all we're doing. Right?
Look at you. I mean, it's
getting on some mics. We got 4 mics in here.
So I'm telling you, it looks good.
So Orson, you have a pretty awesome initiative going on. So wanted to bring you in so you can explain to me, but also the planet Earth, because we have such a huge following on this podcast. Like what it is about this, the Music Education Initiative. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Which I think is probably the most important.
Sure.
And what your role is in all of it.
Good. Well, thank you. Again, thanks for having me.
You got it.
I love it. The Music Education Initiative is a result of years of experience and experiences that we've had and that I've had in the music and entertainment business. And the thing is that I've been around a music and entertainment legend for so long. Speaking
who's this legend? Who's this legend you speak of?
Al Bell,
Al Bell,
the former owner and chairman of Stax Records, as well as years later became the president of the Motown Records Group. And being around him, it's always about the people and the artists with him and what we want to do for the betterment of those artists, as well as for economic development of those artists and music, how he uses it and used it to help bring a lot of economic development. But for years, to see that and hear them and being part of his lectures and the things and around the people that he consults. During the pandemic, we had a lot of shows lined up to look at, and of course they got canceled. So it wasn't just our shows nationwide, worldwide, because of the pandemic. And during that time, the Al Bell Chief Creative Officer is Greg GT Thompson, who you know, GT.
Yeah, GT.
And he and I were talking, and he said, "Oh, I think it's time for us to look at putting together a nonprofit." So we put that together with a dear friend of ours that's a consultant as well as a counselor for nonprofits, and Gail Papermaster out of Austin, Texas. And she helped us put together our nonprofit. And it became a nonprofit in 2020. We submitted all the paperwork and got everything back from the IRS in October. Well, actually, they retroactive gave us our 501c3 back to October 2020, which was just wonderful for us to have.
Yeah. So
that we can offer that tax deduction for those that make donations and support us. And so the thing that we were seeing in the industry is that everybody wants to sing and be in front of the microphone, or the dancing and part of it, and the artist development on the global scale that would deal with what Mr. Bell does. And what we were thinking is that there's some things behind the scenes that a lot of people aren't aware of or aren't exposed to at a younger age, which would be the careers behind the mic, if you will. Who did the lighting, who did the set design, a lot of things, the songwriters, the production managers, and the ticket tour managers. It just goes on and on with so many varieties and aspects of the industry that weren't getting the type of, I guess, recognition, if you will, because it's not what people call I guess the lead singer position.
Right.
But there's so many that have careers and have done it in such longevity over the years. But what we were seeing is that a lot of those folks are getting older. A lot of them have chosen to go in other directions, and the pandemic put a cap on a lot of that and made some of these folks go to other areas.
A lot of the folks that were in the background, like setting up, supporting the musicians. They've
oh my gosh,
kind of
the
done
venues. Venues closed, festivals shut down. A lot of the live entertainment
makes a lot of sense.
Went. I'm talking entertainment being a soccer game, a basketball game. All those folks were seeing just laid off, and that was a part of the industry that was created. Was called the shuttered venue. Part of this pandemic, when these venues were closed because they couldn't survive, and that was a shuttered venue grant or a shuttered venue fund that came available to try to help some of these venues, help the employees that they had lost.
So if we rewind a little bit, so you'd always been thinking about starting a nonprofit, I guess, within this space before the pandemic had happened?
Yes, we had done some programming and brought in some live events and entertainment up into Northwest Arkansas, and it was mentioned to us that we could see possibly that we could get a lot more done with some of the support that was offered at that time to us if we had a nonprofit. Mr. Bell, of course, his position has always been the retail side of it, or the for-profit side. And that's what he was focused on, and we had not thought about it at that time. But I found that the nonprofit side is a whole other language to speak. And with the Music Education Initiative, Eric, our mission is to engage, educate, elevate, and prepare the next generation of professionals in the business of music and entertainment. That's what our mission is, and what we foresee, or our vision is to help expose career opportunities in that space to a younger generation. So
how young generation?
I spoke to junior high, middle school in Springdale here about less than 2 weeks ago about the career opportunities.
So like 13, 14-year-olds?
Yeah, sure.
So you go in and you'll go to the classrooms at the schools, and what will you do? I mean, will you kind of explain to them, hey, there's more than just being Michael Jackson or whoever, right, that's in the front.
Exactly.
There's a lot of support behind it.
A lot of support. What I did is just did a quick PowerPoint, had some pictures of artists, Bruno Mars, Taylor Swift, Lizzo, and went through, I even had a picture of the Super Bowl stage from this year's Super Bowl with Dre on it and all of it. And so I asked the people, I said, well, who do you know who Taylor Swift is? Oh, yeah, they went crazy. I said, do you know who Bruno Mars is? I said, they went crazy. I showed them the group from Korea, the BT. What is it? BTA? BTS.
I think so. Yeah. Don't. I mean,
I
live under a rock.
The reason I can't remember is as soon as I showed the picture, the girls started screaming.
My daughters definitely know who
they started screaming. But what I was telling them is that. And I showed a picture of a lady right behind their slide, and I said, "Do you know who this is?" And they said, "No." I said, "Well, this is their tour manager. That she's the one that puts their tours on, and she didn't start out as a tour manager. She started out as someone studying journalism.
Really?
And it turned into this for her." And I showed a picture of Lizzo, and of course they said some of them knew who that was, and I said, the reason I'm showing you Lizzo is that the person that is in charge of all of her fashion and her setting up is from Central Arkansas. He went to the University of Central Arkansas.
That's cool.
And then I showed them some slides, and I showed them the scene from the Super Bowl with Dre. And then I showed them a picture of Usher. Yeah. And I said, you know who that is? And they said, no, we don't really know who. We know who Eminem and Dre. I said, okay, I got you. They knew Snoop Dogg.
Right.
They knew Snoop.
That's good.
I said, well, how many of y'all know that this lady in the next slide I showed was the choreographer for the Super Bowl, as well as she's the choreographer for Usher, and she's from Little Rock. And they were like, what?
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it went on and on. So we were showing different careers, and one that I ended the show with, Eric, you appreciate this, was one of our companies that we work with told us about a pyrotechnician. And I showed them this picture of this scene on the stage with all the fire and the explosions on it, the pyro.
Yeah.
And the kids were like, oh, yeah, man, that looks cool.
That looks like a cool job.
That's cool.
Blow stuff up.
I said, well, this guy is from Siloam Springs.
Really?
They were like, what? I said, he's a pyrotechnician, and he gets to go blow things up and make it look good on stage. And now these kids are like, they're looking at their teacher. They're like, we didn't know this could be something that we could do. So we're just giving them, enlightening them, exposure to some of the things.
Well, that's, because I know, like, I have some friends, right, that are, I don't want to call him out, but he absolutely loves music. Like, I would say that if I've called him, I said, hey, man, who's the best artist out there, the new upcoming artist, versus some of the underground, music that's being played that's really cool. He could give me a playlist, and it's going to be a good one. I can trust him and his taste. But the dude cannot sing a note and cannot play a note to save his life. He's like completely terrible with that. But I bet you that in his life, had he gone into, he's in education, in school education, but and I know he's passionate about that, but I bet you he would have loved to have been in the music business in some way or another.
Right.
And I think that, to your point, had I known when I was in junior high that there's actually a career path in this besides just being the front person or being in the band, which takes you an incredible amount of artistic ability and talent, right?
Yes.
But there's so much support where you can still kind of be part of that life, right? And be part of that business. And actually there's probably, there's good economical opportunities for folks, right?
Correct. All of that you said is not something that I've not heard already, especially with us being around and doing some of the things we're doing here in Northwest Arkansas. I've heard numerous times, I wish I knew about this while we're in junior high. Yeah. There's an artist that I found out about from the folks at downtown Springdale Alliance, and they told me that this world famous violinist is in Fayetteville, and they sent it to me. She plays for the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. What? And that's what I said. What? I got to reach her. And I made contact. I shared information. Great. She checked out our website. She said, Orson, I wish I knew about this when I was junior. And we were like, man, this is incredible. So looking forward, and she wants to help and be involved with us at some point. But people are saying this is something that is a vibrant opportunity. You said people it can be good for them economically because some of them with experience have turned into some fantastic production people, lighting, songwriters. Do you like English? And kids might say, yeah. I said, would you like poetry? Yeah. I said, well, you can write a song with your poetry. And they couldn't expect, they didn't know what they could do. They're not thinking about it.
There's no clear line of that career path in school. So that's kind of what your foundation's doing, right? You're basically coming in, supplementing, painting a picture of a career path that's tied to something that might be in the soul of somebody. That's right. That's what they want to do. They just want to be around it.
This is. Now, this is just a part. That's just one part of what our initiative does. And today, at 6 o'clock at the Thaden School in Bentonville, for instance, we have another one of our, what we call our production education and technical training workshops. And that's giving hands-on experience to people interested in learning about some of the opportunities behind the mic, and the people that are facilitating this one is Ozark Production Services, and they've had tremendous experience with concert events, high-level events, corporate events, live events, and they're going to facilitate this with us today. But one of the things that Thaden School, they have some younger students that saw what we were bringing that been shared with one of their counselors, and she asked me about younger students, because on one of our flyers it says that it's open or eligible for juniors in high school up. And I let her know. I said, no, we want the younger students to show up and come. But the reason we made that statement is that that's the level or the age group that begins to where they can get hired into the industry.
In junior high?
Well, no. I'm saying juniors in high school up. Usually their juniors are in high school 17 and up. So that's why we thought of that, because there's some live venues that can have someone to help them at that age. At 17, they could come in.
What a great experience, right? If you're 17 years old and you got a summer coming up.
Exactly.
In a summer job, instead of, why not work for the momentary or I'm sorry, the groups that are going there.
That's right.
to help put on production. Or the amp. I bet the amp. Arkansas Music Pavilion.
They
need people.
They do, but there's for the insurance purposes, as I understand it, they need people 18 years and up.
Okay.
They're at the amp, but some of the more smaller or corporate events that specialize in certain things, they can use some of the talent at that age. And believe me when I tell you that they can hire people now. It's incredible. That's one of the things that we did with our production workshop, because we were looking at the industry as a whole and saw there was a void there because of the pandemic, of the so many people that weren't able to come back or went on to do other careers or retired altogether.
Might as well.
To out of that. And some of these old people that like to call it, the older people say the roadies and the things that were putting on these fantastic events and shows that you see, retired, went on to something else because they couldn't make a living at the time of the pandemic. So, but what we saw was that immediately there's the help and a need immediately for that. And we saw that there was something that we could do about it. And we put together our pilot program. Nonprofits and the funders and the grantors like to see pilots. We did a pilot here, Fayetteville, with George's Majestic Lounge, and 20-something people showed up, and we're like, oh, we think we got what we need. And what we do is literally give them a stagehand 101, basically an introduction, if you will, to this. Some people have been around the entertainment industry or the live event production, but they showed up anyway, so they could get a refresher course, and they could be interviewed. They get a chance to be around a production of an event to see it. They get to be with the guys at George's, for instance. The guy that's done that has been at George's for 20 plus years, and he knows what he's doing. And he's been around hundreds of acts. And he shared that experience, showed them this is how to wrap a cable. This is what it needs to look like on stage so no one gets hurt. This is safety is a part of our program, and we talk about safety. We talk about the type of things that you may want to bring with you. Make sure you don't show up with flip-flops on and you can't cut off. That's not this kind of party. So you do that after you finish, after the show. But it has picked up, and today we do our workshop number 6, which has been incredible for us to do 6 workshops in less than 3 months.
It's working,
and it is working, and we've had some wonderful presentations, and some of them, Eric, if I can run by you, some of the areas and schools, places you'll know. First one was at George's. I think the second one was at Arkansas Arts Academy. The folks over there were wonderful. Let's see, number 3 was at the University of Arkansas, the Faulkner Center for Performing Arts. 20 plus people showed up for that one. It's just a beautiful facility. The 4th one was at VOD 3 event production out of Lowell. And they just have a magnificent facility for you to put hands on, where you can see the type of cases and where the cables go, where the microphones go, where you can see what it takes to load up a truck. And I mean, they have a facility right here in Lowell, Arkansas that people didn't know about.
I've never heard of it.
And these guys have done big work. I mean, when you get a call and somebody tells you, we want you to help set up for something for the president.
The
president, not the president like you of Ninja.
SKU
Ninja. Not.
But the president.
The president.
Gotcha.
That's awesome. Right. So these guys are fantastic, and they're all saying, Orson, this is what's needed. And we're just glad to be a part of it. And the last, number 5, the 5th workshop was, again, at the beautiful event center at the Fayetteville Public Library, the new one. It's beautiful. And they laid, I mean, they put on the Ritz, man. It was just laid out all these cases, and the people that were there just were really enthralled and excited. And we had a different age group and a mix of age group and a different demographic, a mix of people that showed up, and that's always good to see.
You can expose folks. I mean, I bet you there's got to be people out there that don't even have any clue about these opportunities and would love to jump in. On the pandemic too, I couldn't help but think a couple of things. One is not only did you have a lot of these artist folks that retired or moved on, like you said, but I bet you have folks that have moved on from other professions, like maybe restaurant and stuff like that. Now they're they're in a place to where they would love to get engaged in a different line of work potentially.
Sure.
But I imagine too, though, that if the behind the mic folks, the support crews and all that, are not able to support the artist can't perform. Am I right in thinking that?
You're right in thinking that. The artist would resort to the artist, again, probably going to buy or rent a U-Haul or a Ryder truck and carrying their own gears like some of them have.
Wow.
Have resorted to. A lot of the tour buses have already been taken up by some of the large acts that need it, and the supply chain is something to think about because they can't make buses faster if you don't have the supply chain to make the tour buses. And so I've been told about the number of trailers that are getting rented, and they could just use them for the season or the live event season that's coming. And we expect to see an explosion of events from the end of April going into May. You're just going to see an explosion, but you got to have qualified and trained personnel to help. And the Stagehand 101 courses, if you will, our workshops that we're offering, is showing the basics of how to provide what is needed for live event corporations or companies right here in Northwest Arkansas.
And right now. So if I went to one of your workshops and I got exposed to this, I'm like, man, I'm in.
Yes.
Right? I want to do this. I could literally get engaged and start work. How fast?
After an interview with one of our facilitators. You can interview, and
so it's like existing job opportunities ready to go.
From somebody from at least I can say at least three of our workshops that we've done. I know people have gotten hired that attended those workshops right now.
Are you serious? Like they're already working?
They're already working. I was told that some were at a George Strait concert in Little Rock a few weeks ago.
Are you serious?
And
I'm quitting my job. I'm going. I shouldn't have had that recorded. I'm not.
He's not. He's kidding.
But it sounds really fun, though.
But moonlighting.
I'll be working remotely in Nashville for the next 2 months.
Put a background in.
That's right.
I made SKU Ninja background, and he's over here playing again.
That's right. But I'm happy, as long as I'm happy.
Yeah. So, the thing about it is that we talked about the career opportunities that we want to expose that next generation to, but we've also had professionals show up at our workshops. One guy was getting ready to retire from a fire department. He said, I want to do something extra. Man. He sent me an email and said, I'm going to be at your workshop tonight at Thaden School. I was awesome. Like, all right, man, thanks. Then I've seen a younger guy that asked me, he said, I've already gone to work with one of the companies we already have that had one of your workshops. And I said, well, great. And then he asked me to explain, to make sure he was getting a good deal, per diem meant in this contract. And I told him, I said, look, they're going to pay you, for your time to help set up this. He was like, nah, I get it.
That's cool. So you're actually helping out even on, just educating on how the business operates.
That's it.
That's great.
That's it. We got to do it. And it's such a need and an urgency for it. I mean, I've been really fortunate and blessed. I've gotten calls from folks in Colorado. They said they saw our workshop and they said, wow, we can't believe what you guys are doing. This is so fantastic. And they said another point of what's so fantastic about it, you guys are actually putting people to work.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
Yeah, it is. We've had conversations with some economic development districts here in the area, and we said we want to help. One thing about it, it's with everything we've done. I've done the podcast with some other, and then I've done the Good Day Northwest Good Day NWA.
Okay, good.
With Jacqueline and Jason, and just wonderful. And I've done some other interviews, and some of the local papers or the social media folks that reach out to us have talked about us. But one thing about it, Eric, with all this that we're doing, it's kind of interesting that I don't have that big time support or a sponsor to come back and said, oh man, we see what you guys are doing. Let us come up and how can we help?
Right.
A lot of people talk about, not just with us, but a lot of people meet. They go to meetings to have meetings. And I'm like, no, let's not keep going to meetings to have meetings. Let's go to meetings where it's productive to get something done.
Sure.
And the one thing about it that we see is sometimes it's a a meeting for people to tell you how to present yourself,
right,
to get ready, to get in the position to present yourself to get money.
Right.
When you said, well, I already know that part. I'm doing it. Okay. I've already gone to 4 seminars or 4 podcasts or webcasts, if you will. And it's time for me to find out, how do I get access to some of this funding that so many people said?
Yeah.
I can see that. But we're in the position now that we have a track record. We have a demand.
Yes.
People are asking us to come and present some of our workshops, some of our thoughts and methodologies, just some of the things that we want to do to share our experiences. And I'm glad to be doing it from right back here in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, so why Northwest Arkansas? What's the significance behind that?
Good. I was in Central Arkansas for years. That's where I was born and raised, in Little Rock, and I went to school at the university. Okay. And I just love the area even then. That's where I tell people I grew up. And
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I just turned 18 a week before I got on campus. So
really? Okay.
I did a lot of growing up at the University of Arkansas. And the time that I spent here made just a lot of just wonderful relationships from my football days. And then, again, I became active in the University of Arkansas on boards. Once I went professionally to do my businesses and different things, I still had a connection with the university on some level and tried to be engaged with them. I was on the Arkansas Alumni Association Board of Directors for, I think, a couple of terms. I was a board member of the Arkansas Letterman's Club in the football, and I was on several boards that was appointed by one of the chancellors at the time at the University of Arkansas, and served on that. And so I was just glad to be.
Making me nervous now, Orson.
Why?
Because I didn't know all that about you. I just thought you were just awesome.
It's just Orson. It's just sweet.
Now you get all these. Throwing out all these creds.
Oh,
I'm like, man.
I'm just glad to share it. I'm just glad to know Eric Howerton.
Right. So basically, Northwest Arkansas, they kind of became your home, and so did you move back down to Little Rock to start your career? Or?
Yeah, it was more back in Little Rock. My son was actually born at as one guy down in Fayetteville told me on the podcast, he was born at the OG Washington Regional Hospital.
I know what you're talking about, off of North Street.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, that's the OG, if that's what you said. And I said, well, how about this? My grandson was born at the new Washington Regional.
There you go.
So he was like, what? I said, yeah. So we have such a connection here, man, and that's why I wanted to come back up here. And there's just such a wonderful feel and energy here.
There really is.
For some things that we can get done. And it's just for us to be a part of it and to share that and have folks to really see what we're talking about doing.
So getting a little bit deeper about, though, the students. So got why here in Northwest Arkansas, but then what about the community of students and this potential talent? Why is it important for you to give this message to those individual people? Like, I get it for the industry, and the industry needs this, but for an individual person why that? Why is that important?
The why is there's a need. The why is that not everyone is going to go into a professional career. It'll change. They'll change their minds, and they'll end up doing something else. Some of them aren't even exposed or have the thought to think that what we're doing is even challenging them critically, because they think, oh, well, I'm supposed to do this because somebody in my family suggested it or said. But to turn around and think that, well, maybe that's your talent. As I mentioned, writing, that's your talent, but how about doing this? How about thinking about a poem that somebody, or just when you see kids just making a drum beat on their desk or a table, there's something that they're thinking about that may turn into something. But the why is that next generation to help conserve and preserve the music industry. It has to be.
You think it's that big? I mean, like, this next generation is going to conserve and preserve?
They have to, or you don't want to lose that creativity. Yeah. You don't want to do and expect everything to be done digitally or electronically.
Because is that a real thing? Like that? I mean, music could get to the point where it's just programmatic.
Absolutely. a lot of that, and the focus of that is, and that's why you have the creatives that are needed to. It's a vibrant part of the community, and the communities need to just recognize and look at it, and it can't be diminished because they're enjoying. A generation years ago, or generations, if you will, we're enjoying that music today, and it's influenced us. Mm-hmm. It's influenced us as well as this younger generation, because what they're seeing, if you will, some of the tracks or the samples that are in some of the music, and I can remember years ago I was in Little Rock driving down the Interstate 630, and my daughter and I are listening to some music, and Roberta Flack came on. Singing Killing Me Softly, and my daughter's over there jamming, and she turns and she says, wow, she's singing Lauryn Hill's song, and I almost went off the road. I was like, no, baby. no I gotta drive, so I can't faint, So I'm like, no, baby, no, it's the other way around, believe me.
Yeah, and I think, because really music is, it's deep down the soul of a human being, that creativity. That just, like you're talking about the writers or the poets.
Oh, yeah.
That might be just doing this, in their room or, for pastime or whatever, and they have that desire, but they don't know how to channel that to anything.
That's right.
And I wonder how many great musicians or folks in history that we've missed out because they didn't know.
They didn't know.
They couldn't get on the bandwagon, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be hundreds of thousands of them.
I can just remember a story that Al Bell told me, and I had to really think about it. Yeah. Otis Redding was literally, I think, a chauffeur for another act, and he just said he kept wanting to get in front of a microphone, and they were like, oh yeah, bring the luggage in or something like that. Just kind of, and he gets he said, give me a few minutes, and he gets on the mic, and everybody's like, what? So just like what you're saying, how did that happen? Just had a chance, and it's out there, and the exposure that we're doing is for that, and we just want to share. I don't know it all,
right?
I don't sing or play an instrument.
I thought you were going to sing for us today. No, that's why I got the microphones all set up.
No, you dressed in show ready to go, man. You got on your cap and your stage outfit. I thought it was you.
This is my business attire, man. This is what I wear. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
I thought you were going to sing. That would have been awesome.
No. It's Howerton and the Howlers or something. I don't know. So we just got some great stuff to do, and I don't know it all. Mm-hmm. We have a great group of advisors and folks that know, and GT, our co-founder, of course, is former touring musician and just has a lot of experience, and we reach out and talk to people that are in the industry so that we want to do. And one of the other things, another part of it, so we've talked about the career development opportunities, our workshop, and one thing that we also do is just that we have programming, and that we are bringing in and sharing artists that we know, and some of the other areas that we're talking about is the programming to get people to think about some of the other parts of music and the different. And I think you and I met after when you met Al Bell, and you've talked about the music that you grew up on and what the kind of music that you like, and that's right. We want to see the walls sweating and their souls shaking.
Right. That's what it's all about, man.
Come on,
that's all it's about.
Yeah, East Arkansas. Let's go.
Delta side, man.
Come on, Delta.
Bring it.
Delta. Well, we're bringing it. And
so how do you help out on that side? I mean, what's your initiative on that?
The initiative, we have a project that we call the Jukes Joint Project.
Sorry, I was in my drink. Orson, we've talked about this. You can't announce the Juke Joint. That's like, I just want to keep that a secret.
Yeah, we will. Then I won't say, but I'll just tell you what it is. Though.
Okay,
it's our Juke Joint Project. I won't go into a lot of details about it until we're ready to announce wink, wink or something with Howerton here. But we've got some good things coming with that, Howerton.
Yeah. So you can elaborate on it. I mean, I hate to keep it all myself. It's a replica.
That's correct. So it's a what we call a walk-through replica of a Delta or Mississippi juke joint or blues shack. This one was actually in the Clinton Presidential Library in Little Rock, and unfortunately, a lot of the public didn't get to see it. But it was designed by just a lovely lady, this just wonderful person named Khaki Hockersmith. It was done for a program that was to be held in 2020 at the Presidential Library called Fusion, and she had it laid out, and they had programmed some remarkable folks to come in. Super Chicken was going to be one of
Super
Chicken out of Mississippi, Clarksdale area, was coming to perform. She had Dr. William Ferris, one of just the foremost experts on Southern folklore and historian and a scholar, and he's just a wonderful man. And she was going to have programming based on that, and she was bringing in Al to meet some of these folks and to be a part of that. And we were having lunch with her, and one day, and it was right. I can remember the dates. I don't know how technical you want to get. We were having lunch with her, and my phone started ringing. Her son-in-law's phone rang, and he left for a while. And he came back, and he said, "They're closing schools." And this was on March 12th of 2020. Yeah. So everybody's like, "Yeah, we know." And by that time, my phone started ringing, and GT's phone started ringing, and I'm getting calls from artists, and it was just incredible because we had shows lined up. And so she said, "Everything's getting ready to get shut down." She said, "I want you guys to see this display that we have." And well, she said before the museum, the Presidential Center gets shut down because it's a federal building.
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
it's a federal park. You're right. She said nobody see it. So we were able to go, and GT got ready to. I said, "GT, you can't go." He said, "What?" I said, "Buddy, you got to get your sign." He was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. Everybody's shutting school." It was just everybody's trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
And so she took Al and I over and to see it at the Presidential Library, and we just walked through it, and I just was amazed, and I was able to take pictures of it. Unfortunately, on our website, if you go to the Juke Joint tab on it, you can click and see a slideshow of our Juke Joint, and I was just able to take pictures, and in one of the final pictures is Miss Khaki Hockersmith, but she was proud of it. But as I fast forward to 2021, I get a call from her one day, and she says, "Orson, remember the Juke Joint?" Yeah, I remember it. Wonderful. She said, "It's still at the Clinton Presidential Center, of course, but they got to get ready for some other exhibits since things are opening up again." I said, "Wonderful." And she said, "Well, that Juke Joint doesn't have a place to go. Nobody's going to take it." I said, "What's going to happen to it?" She said, "We don't know. They may have to tear it down." I said, "No, I'll take it for our initiative. I'll take it. I'll know what to do with it." We have had it here in Northwest Arkansas, and we're getting ready to have discussions with somebody that wants to activate it and have us reassemble it in Northwest Arkansas.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it will do. We will have it as a place for historic learning perspective. We'll have it for a lecture. We'll have it for performances. We'll have it for people to walk through. School children can come in during the summer.
I thought you were going to give that to me. I thought you were going to give me the Juke Joint, Orson. Last time we talked.
Look, I said it will be exhibited in the summer, so we got time for you to get. You got time for you to get your space ready.
I love this thing. I got it pulled up on the TV, man.
Okay. Hey, so Khaki. That's Miss Khaki.
That's Miss Khaki. So she designed this.
She did.
Did she get when she was designing this? Was she like? I'm assuming that she went very historically with historic accuracy, right, behind this?
She did. She got, it's a mix of old and new in there. Some of the authentic Highway 62 signs, that board and milk sign over there with Elsie on it. Some of the young people won't even know what that is. Some of the signages was really important.
So Highway 62,
the posters.
What's the relevancy behind that?
That's Highway 62 where it makes the crossroads of where the blues was created in Mississippi, man. Come on, Howard. You know it. You know Delta
I wanted
Soul.
the audience to know.
Yeah, Delta Soul.
Oh, man.
That's it.
So rich.
So some of the posters and some of the artifacts that you see, the chairs, I still have some of the chairs, and the design itself is just some of the tin on it came off of a particular barn that had aged for years, and the cypress wood came off of a barn and it's old, and I mean it was just really done well, and we wanted to preserve this so that we could share a history for those that may not know the history of that or may not get a chance to go down to experience that East Arkansas Delta soul and Delta blues. And
I think I told you this. I took my daughter. She had a soccer tournament down in Jacksonville, Mississippi.
In Jackson, Mississippi.
Yes, Jackson, Mississippi. And of course, I was. Anytime we do travel, I try to hey, what can we do that's historic or cultural or whatever. And because of the weekend wasn't much going on, so what we ended up doing though is we left Friday, and all the rest of our teams already going down there, staying at the hotels in Jackson, and they're just going to eat pizza and do their thing, like normal soccer teams. But I detoured and I went down and ate at Doe's down in Greenville, Mississippi, downtown. Right, I got the original. I mean, that's the original.
I've been there many times. Dude, love it, bruh.
Listen, so the waitress comes up, right, and she's like, what do you want? And so we ordered our filet or whatever. We didn't know how huge it was going to be, but she's like, well, how about some salad? And I'm like, okay. And my daughter's, she's 13, 14 at the time. And she brings out the salad, puts it down, and my daughter takes one bite. She's like, oh, my gosh, that is the best salad I have ever had in my entire life. I'm like, I've never even heard you comment on salad in my entire life. And the waitress is like, yeah, so the way that we make that happen is like we've been using the same bowl for decades, and it's with garlic and oil, salt and pepper. And we don't really wash it out. They just keep mixing it up.
It's busy. The bowl's busy.
Bowl's busy, and it retains that flavor, that garlic, and all this. And of course, we ate the steak. But anyway, so that was an experience. But we went the next day. We went through B.B. King's museum,
Indianola, Mississippi.
Mississippi. Yes, that was really, really cool to kind of. I mean, there's just so much history in that museum that it kind of takes you through all the blues and everything. Right. But then I went to downtown where B.B. King had started down in Indianola,
yes,
and on the corner where he was playing, and he apparently preserved some pretty historic sites down there too. He bought the his foundation, bought the original bar that he played in.
Okay.
Down there too, and it's just really. I mean, that was a great trip, and my daughter got to experience a little bit and be exposed to this history of music and the Delta blues. I mean, it was just.
That's right. Now she's exposed to it, and she'll think about it. And again, with our Juke Joint project, that's just some of the programming that as part of our initiative programming, so we can again let folks know, as I've been told by Dr. William Ferris, he said, Orson, the blues is the root music.
It is.
And then jazz is contemporary of that, and then it just goes the rock and roll that comes in, then all of this.
You listen to the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, any of the the biggest just legendary type of artists and groups. I mean, it's backed by the blues.
They're legends because of this blues Delta music that came from African Americans, man. And another project, and I want you to share this and tell the students and your daughters and their friends to, I guess, what do they say? Follow us or tag us,
like you and tag you. And
hope they like me. I hope they do.
They will.
But we've been fortunate to be introduced to a lot of additional programmings, and I'm lucky to tell you that we've been able to get ready to bring on April 14th. We'll have an exhibit coming to Springdale to the former Art Center of the Ozarks building. It's called Building 214 now. We're going to bring in an exhibit called A Cast of Blues. It's a Mid-America Arts Alliance exhibit from the Exhibits USA, one of their divisions, of a touring blues exhibit. This Cast of Blues is literally where an artist that had that's now visually impaired, had gone blind, started working with pottery and a sculpture, and she's cast blues legends in their faces, and she was able to get incredible blues artists. And this tour that's we're bringing to Springdale on April 14th has been touring since about 2014.
Wow.
And it's called A Cast of Blues, and it'll be here for 7 weeks. And so
That's
from
awesome.
April 14th through May 27th.
And you're in the organization is what brought that, is bringing
Yes,
that here?
Music Education Initiative, man. That's what we're doing. We're sharing.
That's
what
awesome.
doing.
Thank you
that's
so
just
much
something
for all
else,
that.
man. Thank you. We want the exposure to let folks know, and this has to continue.
So since you're educating, what happened? Is the King Biscuit Blues Festival still going on?
Yes.
Is it going to be held again this year?
My understanding it is. Yeah, they're preparing for it. I was on a Zoom webinar a few months ago, and they're excited to be able to bring that back. That's what I'm hearing.
So that's wonderful news.
Yeah, in April, I think there's the Juke Joint Festival down in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Juke Joint Festival.
Dude,
I know.
You got to let me know these things, man.
I'm telling you, it's not
Okay.
April yet.
I got you.
You got time. I don't have time. I've got to be here for our hour at Blues Exhibit, and then I've got to get ready for my Juke Joint project. So
You got a lot going on.
it's good, and we need folks to support us. Donate.
Yeah.
Donate.
Right. Donate to the Music Education Initiative.
That's right.
In Northwest Arkansas.
That's right. MusicEducationInitiative.org.
Nice. Gotcha. And you can donate there hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Or just call Howerton and he'll find me. He'll move me from my barbecue sandwich eating ribs. Oh, Orson, put that rib down.
Put that rib down, man. We got somebody trying to give you some money.
I know. We're trying to
You're like, hey.
I'm coming.
Just why don't I get done with this rib?
That's right.
That's right. Orson, is awesome having you. Hope to have you some more. I'd like to, I'm sure people would love to hear more about just some of the additional initiatives that kind of keep coming up.
Sure.
And workshops and all that type of
Yes.
stuff. But can you, by the way, on the workshops, can people find the schedule on your website as well?
Yeah, my next workshop is today at 6 o'clock p.m. at Thaden School. And once we get our next location, or somebody calls us, or someone tells us they'd like to host one of our workshops, we'll load it onto our website under Workforce Development.
Love it.
And in the meantime, I think sometimes our social media manager, she'll pop out some things and let folks know on Instagram and Facebook also.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks, Orson. I'm going to take a stab at our end song.